Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Brianna, this is Coffee Books and Bullet Journals, and I'm going to be telling you about the books that I read in the month of January. Okay, so I feel very out of practice because I didn't do a December wrap-up because of all of the New Year videos that were going up and like everything that like, you know, best books of the year, blah, blah, blah. And I had a lot of my December books on my best and worst books of the year. It's a thing. And I also did a lot of vlogs. So I didn't end up doing a December wrap-up because life got away from me. I was sick for like, I don't know, the majority of the month of January. I'm still not over it, and we're in the first week of February, so yay. Gotta love winter. Anyways, also puppies. They kind of take it all out of you. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. In the month of January, did not get off to the greatest start that I wanted. It started out really slow, let's be honest. A lot of it because I was sick, and then I just didn't want to read. Like, I wanted to do other things, which is fine, but it just kind of sucks when, like, now Goodreads is like, you're 3 books behind schedule, and it's yelling at you and things like that. So that being said, let's talk about stats. I am using a new spreadsheet this year, and so I'm doing things a little bit differently. I'm not sure I love it yet. It's a new process I need to get used to. So once I figure it all out, it'll be fine. But I am using Allie from the Hardback Quarters spreadsheet this year. So anyways, I read 7 books in the month of January and then DNF'd one other one. So I had 2,881 pages. I mean, it's a lot of pages, it is, but it doesn't seem like it, if that makes sense. However, my average rating was a 4 because I read some pretty good books. I think the worst book I read was a 3-star read, so that's pretty cool. I read 4 contemporary, 1 dystopian, and 2 romance. I did participate in Smuttathon, and then I also helped co-host Catch-Up-a-thon at the end of the month. So, that being said, let's just talk about the books that I read in the month of January, starting well with the lowest book that I read, the lowest rated book that I read, and moving on up to my favorite book, which will probably, like, I'm just going to call it here, will make my best books of 2020. Just going to call it here. It was good. The first book I read was part of Smuttathon, and that was A Wanton Woman by Vanessa Vale. This was a mail-order bride, male, female, historical romance. It was a lot of fun. It was very steamy. It was typical romance. I can't remember if it was a novella. No, it wasn't a novella because it was 316 pages. But it was, it was fine. The smut, very good. Anytime you have a polyamory, the smut's usually good. But there wasn't a whole lot of plot to it, but it was a romance book, so there wasn't like a lot to talk about. But it was basically about this woman who she didn't murder, she witnessed a murder. She witnessed the murder of her husband, and then everyone, she testified against the person. That person ended up being hung, and then the murderer's brother is now like stalking her. So she moves to Colorado as a mail order bride, and there is this like tiny little miners town in the mountains where there are mostly men and like hardly any women. So the town has created this rule or this law that one woman can be married to 2 men, so that men can be married. I don't know. So these two, the mayor and the mayor's brother, both marry this woman, and that's the plot. The person who had been like stalking her kind of comes to Colorado, and like it's a thing, but like it's romance, so it's not really like a suspenseful, like it's over very quickly. It was fine. It was 3 stars. The next 3-star book that I read was Hearts, Strings, and Other Breakable Things by Jacqueline Firkins. This is a modern day retelling of Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. And going back, it had been a very, very, very long time since I read Mansfield Park. And as I was going through this, I realized why. That one is probably one of my least favorite Jane Austen books or stories, just because like the whole book revolves around a love triangle, and I don't like love triangles. And then at the end of said book, she picks the wrong one, in my opinion. I want to say in the original one, they're like one of them tends to be a little bit more vilified, and so it makes it a little bit more obvious, if I'm remembering correctly. Like I said, it's been 10, 12, no, let's see, I read it in high school. So I graduated high school 13 years ago. Dear God. So yeah, it's been a long time. Anyways, I think she picked the wrong guy. I think that both guys in this scenario were very sweet. They did nothing wrong. And so in my opinion, I think she picked the wrong one. But it's a retelling, so what can you do? This was basically Jane Austen meets Gossip Girl. That's pretty much what it is. It's this uppity, like, high class, well, it's Connecticut, or no, Massachusetts. Private school, everyone has a lot of money. We all have these, like, parties in high school where everybody's drinking. It's Gossip Girl, just not in New York. It was cheesy, it was cute, but it just, like, the ending of it kind of bugged me a little bit, and that was just like my personal take because I didn't like the romance. But that's a personal opinion. If you liked the other character more, you'd probably really, really like this book. It's just a matter of which relationship you like and we're rooting for. I don't think she's a great character to begin with because I think she leads both guys along the entire time. But there is like a fake dating in here. There's love triangle. There is, FYI, a content warning for some cheating and some talk of cheating. Like a side character, her cousin cheats on her fiance. Like, again, it's Gossip Girl meets Jane Austen. It's like the best way to describe this book. But anyways, I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't bad. It just was like way below my enjoyment level. I mean, it's just, yeah, it wasn't for me. Moving on to my 3.5-star read, I actually have an entire reading diary for this that I will link up in the cards, but that is Tweet Cute by Emma Lord. This is a debut novel that came out this month, and it is so freaking cute. This is about 2 teenagers, Pepper and Jack. Yes, those are their names. It's adorable. And it is about these 2 kids who, Pepper, her mother owns this big burger joint. I guess it's like it's national, but it's not like McDonald's national. Does that make sense? But it's a big burger joint. And then Jack has a family deli. The burger joint comes up with this grilled cheese, and basically the deli is saying that they stole the recipe. And then there's like this whole like Twitter battle. But then these 2 kids both actually go to the same school, and they've also been anonymously chatting over this text messaging app that doesn't announce like who they actually are. It's all anonymous, which was fun. So you had this like these 2 people talking about themselves or the other person to the same person, and they didn't know it was them. So it was kind of funny. It is from both people's perspectives, so you know the whole time, but the characters don't. It's fun. This book, again, super cheesy, super cute. There is definitely a suspension of disbelief. Nobody would actually give the social media reins over to a teenager for some, big, huge corporation. It just wouldn't happen. There are people that go to school for that. And then, like, there were things that, like, were obviously plot devices. You didn't really get to know a lot. Like, there were certain things about certain characters where it was like, oh, that's out of the blue, and why are we doing this? I didn't really love Pepper's mom. She tended to, like, only be focused on the burger joint and was basically, like, telling her she needs to focus on this Twitter war or whatever it was that they were doing in lieu of doing, homework and graduating and college applications and stuff like that. But it was still really cute, and I definitely recommend it. It's a nice palate cleanser, that's for sure. Moving on to my 4-star reads, and the first one was also part of Smuttathon, and that was Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. And this was my first introduction to Penelope Douglas. I've heard so much about this author, both from Chandler Ainsley, Rachel from Rachel's book journey, Rachel Marie's book journey. She changed her name several months ago, but I keep wanting to say the old one. Anyways, Melanie from Melton the Any talked about her. I think Chelsea's talked about her. There's a lot of people that have. But I just never, ventured in to this author's work, and this was a great place to start. I definitely loved this book. This was an age gap romance about a girl who is 18 or 19. She's legal. And her boyfriend is a loser and doesn't... he's a big baby. He doesn't do anything for himself. We'll just leave it at that. Anyways, they have to end up moving into his dad's place because of them getting evicted from their own apartment, and ends up becoming this thing where there's this huge, so much tension between her and her boyfriend's dad. So much sexual tension in this book leading up to it. I don't think that there was actually a sex scene between the two of them until 70% into the book. So very slow burn, but it was very good. I listened to it on audio, and yeah, it was amazing. It wasn't perfect. That's for sure. There's a lot of criticism for the age gap romance. I didn't see it as a problem, just because she's legal. It's fine. There was no actual cheating because they didn't sleep together until after the couple had broken up and he had left the house. There is cheating from side characters, but not between the main love interest. Some of the things tended to be a little bit of plot devices. I'm being really vague. I do have a review for it, so if you want to check that out down below, I will link every book that has a review. I will link down below. That's what I'm going to really try to work on in the month of January. The month of January. Wow. This year. Can you tell I'm really bad at this? It has been a couple of weeks since I've filmed any type of video just because of how sick I've been. But these wrap-ups, I already don't love doing them. I like having them. I like being able to look back on how I liked certain books. But filming them is kind of a mountain to get over. And now that I feel super out of practice. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. All right, moving on to my 4.5-star read, and that was Supernova by Marissa Meyer. This is the final book in the Renegades trilogy, and I think I like Arch Enemies better than this one, but this one was still really, really good. I think that the stakes were really high, and something that I had noticed in other books that Marissa Meyer has written, I've read Cinder and I've read Heartless, and then kind of up until this point, I don't feel that there were as high of stakes, and this one definitely upped the stakes 100%. This one has definitely character deaths. Characters you care about die in this book. It's okay. It's fine. I'm fine. But yeah, this was, I think, was really good, and I think that it concluded everything really, really well. I can't talk a lot about it because it's the third book in the trilogy, but it definitely kind of draws the line between good and evil, and you get a little bit clearer of a picture in Arch Enemies, which I read in December, and I also gave 4.5 stars. Marissa Meyer was really good at not being able to tell who really was the good guy and the bad guy, and I think that this book kind of defines what good guy and bad guy means, in the fact that nobody is truly good or truly bad, and I really, really liked it. Highly recommend the series, and also if you didn't love the first one, continue going on, because Renegades I only gave 3.5 stars, and then they just kind of got better and better. Alright, moving on to my 2 5-star reads. The first one is Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman. This is the second book in the arc of the Scythe trilogy, and I read Scythe back in January, and January of 2019, and then didn't pick this one up, and I don't know why, but this one was really, really good. I also highly recommend the audiobooks. The narrator is very good, and this was a really great expansion. Scythe kind of deals with just the two characters and their journey into becoming a Scythe, and this one definitely expands on the universe, and kind of gets more into the politics of the Scythes and the Scythedom and how the Thunderhead fits into it, and it was really good. I also really enjoyed the part about the Tonist and like that kind of religious cult and how that kind of plays into everything. This is it's falling more into dystopian rather than the utopian world that is kind of introduced in the Scythe, in the first book in Scythe, and that's why you kind of think like, utopia is not always as it looks. It's not always as great as it seems. And this kind of dives into that. I love the politics between the election of the High Blade and how that's, the inquest and all this other stuff. And it was a fantastic expansion and second book. I think I like this one probably more than Scythe. So we'll see where it goes from there. All right, and moving on into my favorite book of January, and will likely be on my top favorite books of 2020, and that is Beartown by Frederick Bachman. This is not a surprise. Everybody that I see that has read this book has rated it 4 or 5 stars and has absolutely loved it. I got to tab and annotate this, and I love this copy now. This is actually this is a book that I got at the Strand back when I was at BookCon last year, and I'm so happy that I now have like a tabbed version of it. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but anyways, I have a live show on my channel that I will link up in the cards above, and this is kind of going over this, but yeah, this was an absolutely fantastic book. It's very dark, it's very hard-hitting. It's about this girl who is raped by a hockey player, and Beartown, the town of Beartown, basically revolves around the hockey team. Nothing else matters. And so when she comes out and accuses this hockey player and the captain of the hockey team, there's a lot of backlash. And so this is just a commentary on the town and the people in it and what they were believing, who they believed. There was one quote in here that was just absolutely phenomenal and stunning, and it talked about how if this was any other boy that we were talking about that had done this, would we have looked into it more? Would we have assumed that she was correct rather than writing her off as a whore, or, trying to get attention or whatever it was. And then also because the girl is the coach's daughter or the general manager's daughter, they said the same thing, like, well, what if it wasn't our boss's kid that was raped? Would it, if he would have raped anyone else, would we have even blinked an eye? So it was an interesting commentary, and I'm very excited to pick up Us Against You, which is the sequel. I thought about picking it up during Contemporary-a-thon, but that's a book that I think I want to kind of devour a little bit slower, and so I don't want to read it in a very short amount of time. I'm going to kind of let that one settle. But anyway, very, very good book. Highly recommend it. Definitely check out the content warnings, because it's not a light book, and there's definitely some triggers, and it's not something to be taken lightly, but definite favorite book of the month. That is all I have for you today. Sorry this was a hot mess, and I hope that you've stuck around this long. If you are new here and you have not yet subscribed, there's a little red button that you can do so down below the video, and all of the links to my social media will be in the description below if you would like to be my friend on any other platform. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye. What makes this heart beat faster?